This is the Module 3 assignment by Jonathan Caudle. First, I'll start out with the media selection readings. The first reading and theory I'm going to explain is the uses and gratification theory. In the book, Uses and Gratification Theory has evolved and matured into a perspective that highlights the role of audience initiative to explain channel choice and message selection, interpretation, response, and impact. Uses and gratification tries to explain that people select certain types of media to fulfill certain needs and desires. Research about uses and gratification theory go all the way back to the 1940s. Motivation, activity, and involvement all affect what communication alternatives that people decide to select. The chapter also talks about communication orientations, which is when people tend to orient themselves to a certain medium or its type of content. Cognitive dissonance is the next reading. Cognitive dissonance is how an individual reacts to different mental states. If someone feels mentally uncomfortable, they will seek something to reduce their psychological discomfort and to bring back mental balance. The reading was about research done on the December 2014 tsunami. They used a methodology of an internet-based survey that was sent to Red Cross donors. The results from the survey found that 55% of donors donated to relief efforts. It also found that donors experienced strong feelings of dissonance when learning of crisis situations, and that making a donation restores mental balance. The next reading was about selective exposure. In the selective exposure reading, it talked about selective exposure and how it is used in political situations, and how selective exposure can lead to polarization, which is when people have extreme views. And it also talks about fragmentation, in which views can be very fragmented. Applying the media selection readings. Uses and gratification theory can be applied through corporate PR, such as in the technology industry. People have many needs for technology. With a company such as Apple or Google, you can survey your audiences and see what types of technologies or services people need and provide it for them. It can be also applied through cognitive dissonance, through corporate PR such as BP. BP, a couple years ago, caused a giant oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. They used advertising to show how much work BP was doing in the Gulf, revitalizing the tourism and business, and showing how it's booming again and that people can come back. Selective exposure can also be applied through political news such as Fox or CNN. Audiences that watch Fox or CNN are usually looking for either conservative for Fox or liberal news for CNN. So therefore, anything that's shown on CNN or Fox is usually targeted towards those type of audiences. Next, I will present the entertainment readings. Entertainment is one of the largest forms of content in the media landscape. Researchers have tried to figure out why people watch and how they interact with media entertainment. One way in which researchers have tried to evaluate why people consume entertainment is through the uses and gratification theory. One example of the uses and gratification theory is the History Channel. People watch the History Channel to learn about historical events or for entertainment. The second example of the uses and gratification theory is Food Network. People watch Food Network for culinary inspiration and also for entertainment. The second way in which researchers have seen people consume media entertainment is through mood management theory. People seem to search for entertainment to control their mood, such as if somebody is sad or upset, they will search for something funny or happy to change their current mood state. Second is the transportation theory. The transportation theory centers on the experience of readers being transported into a text. In this state, readers' imaginative resources have them feeling removed from their surroundings and completely engaged with the world created by the author. It also talks about people being immersed in narrative worlds. An example of a narrative world is World of Warcraft. Millions of players play World of Warcraft every day, and when they enter this world, they are immersed in the lore and culture of the game. It's kind of like an escape from reality. The next reading is the Moyer and Goose reading. The reading was about entertainment education. In the reading, it describes entertainment education as a popular strategy for incorporating health and other educational messages into popular entertainment media with the goal of positively influencing awareness, knowledge, attitudes, and/or behaviors. Messages help to promote involvement in the storyline as well as the characters. And then through entertainment education, it promotes character involvement, which includes identification with characters, in which people think they are like the character. It also includes wishful identification, when a reader wishes that they were like the character, and similarity, which is when the reader perceives that he or she is similar to the character. The next reading is the Slater reading. It also talks about entertainment education and says the messages on beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors is explained through social cognitive theory principles. The reading also connects entertainment education to the elaboration likelihood model and talks about absorption in a narrative and response to characters enhances persuasive effects. And also greater involvement will result in greater attention to the message relevant arguments and potentially, depending on the quality of those arguments, create lasting attitude change. Applying the entertainment readings. You can apply the entertainment reading through the entertainment narrative theory. Immersing your audience in your product or service will create a stronger audience and make them want to buy your product. You can also apply the transportation theory in corporate PR such as Atlantis. Atlantis is a big tourist hotspot. In creating good advertising, you can transport and make people feel like they're in Atlantis, so they want to travel there. Next, I will talk about the priming, cognition, effect, and character effects readings. Priming theory. Media priming is described in the book as the effect of some preceding stimulus or event on how we react, broadly defined, to some subsequent event or person. Priming effects dissipate with time, in which activation levels of a node will dissipate over time if no additional source of activation is present. Also, primes that are stronger tend to have stronger effects on people's judgments and behavior. In addition, primes tend to have stronger effects on situations that are ambiguous. Finally is the accessibility of a concept when it is at rest or prior to its being primed. There are multiple ways to measure primes. First, it can be studied by looking at the effects of priming on people's judgments and ambiguous events. Second, it can be measured by studying the effect on someone's behaviors, such as watching a group's aggressive behaviors after being exposed to violent media content. Lastly, it can be measured by new forms of technology that study someone's response time. Next is limited capacity model. Limited capacity model, as explained in the text, is a data-driven model developed to investigate the real-time processing of mediated messages. The model has 5 basic assumptions. First, humans are assumed to be limited capacity information processors. This means that humans only have a limited supply of cognitive resources to process information at any given time. Second, humans have 2 evolutionary old motivational systems, one that promotes survival and one that protects them from harm. Third, media is continuous and has continuously varying streams of sensory information. Fourth, human activity is perceived as occurring over time. And finally, communication is the continuous interaction between a message and a receiver. Emotions reading. Emotions, as described in the text, are viewed as internal mental states representing evaluative valence reactions to events, agents, or objects that vary in intensity. History of emotion dates back to the 19th and 20th century works of Darwin, James, and Cannon. It is usually perceived as a construct of 5 components. First, cognitive appraisal or evaluation of a situation. Second is the psychological component of arousal. Third, a subjective feeling state. Fourth, a motivational component, including behavior intentions and/or readiness. And lastly is motor expression. Last is the mediated relationships reading. Mediated relationships, as described in the text, are a fictional or real narrative, a game show, a reality show, or even a nonfiction book. The degree to which the people in the text elicit a response from us is a crucial factor in how we engage with the text and the degree to which it will affect us. 2 of the most studied concepts of mediated relationships is parasocial relationship and identification. Parasocial relationship, as described in the text, is interpersonal notions of attraction, perceived similarity, homophilia, empathy, and friendship form the foundation of parasocial interaction. Stated succinctly, audience members often feel a sense of camaraderie with media personalities, and this affects their communication choices, behavior, and outcomes. The second is identification. When even for a moment an audience member assumes a character's identity and shares his or her perspective, motivations, and goals, the viewer is said to identify with that character. And also, they become engaged in media messages and disregard their role and position as viewers. Applying the processing, cognition, affect, and character effects readings. First, you can apply it through emotions. In nonprofit PR such as the ASPCA, people have very strong emotions towards animals, and using these emotions can help increase donations to organizations such as the ASPCA. Also, you can apply it through mediated relationships. Creating a relationship between a company and its audience is very important for PR and business.